I'm Gertrude. Sitting in the car next to my attorney, Arthur, I look down at the folder on my lap with the signed final orders. It's done, I say, nodding. The courtroom drama is over, and a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. As I sit here, the events leading up to this moment flood back. I grew up in a family where I was the invisible one. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, had a clear favorite, my sister, Vivian. She was the golden child, and I was the one they took for granted, the one who was always there to pick up the pieces. My father was a cold and distant man. He spent most of his time in his study, immersed in his work or watching TV, while my mother was a passive woman who always sided with Vivian. Vivian, on the other hand, was a spoiled and entitled brat who thought the world revolved around her. I remember one day in the kitchen, the smell of garlic and herbs filling the air as I was making dinner for the family. Vivian was standing by the counter, looking at me with disdain. "Who chops like that? You're so clumsy," she sneered, and with that, she grabbed the wooden spoon and hit me on the back of the head. The pain shot through my skull, and for a moment, my vision went white. My father, sitting in the living room, just turned up the volume on the TV, as if I was nothing more than background noise. I looked at the knife in my hand, my hands shaking. I had always been the quiet one, the one who took the abuse and the humiliation without a word. But that day, something snapped inside me.
Just then, the doorbell rang.
It was like a warning shot. 5 minutes later, I deliberately smashed the knife block on the floor. The sound echoed through the kitchen, and my father came running in. When he saw the mess on the floor and the open laptop on the counter, his face turned pale. On the laptop screen were bank statements, screenshots, and proof of every single penny I had spent on this family over the past 10 years. I had paid for the mortgage, the groceries, and even my mother's medical bills. In total, it was $450,000. "Where did you get all this?" My father stammered. I looked at him calmly, without raising my voice. "I'm done being your unpaid servant. I'm done being treated like dirt in my own home," I said evenly. Vivian tried to laugh it off, but I could see the fear in her eyes. Then I pointed to a small red envelope next to the laptop. "The house is no longer in your name. Mom transferred the ownership to me before she passed away," I said. My father took a step back, as if he had been punched in the gut. Vivian grabbed the counter, her face drained of color. "You can't do this. We're family," she said, trying to sound sweet. I laughed quietly. "The only time you ever mention family is when you need something from me," I replied. My father tried to regain control. "You had no right to do this without telling us," he said. I showed him the legal documents on the laptop. "I had every right. Mom made the decision, and I made sure it was legally processed," I said. Then, I slid a white envelope towards them. "This is an eviction notice. You have 7 days to leave," I said. My father looked at me, his expression broken. "Where will we go?" he asked. I felt no anger, no sadness, just a sense of clarity. "Where did I go when you ignored me? When you humiliated me?" I said. They stood there, like defeated statues. Vivian tried to plead with me, but I was done listening. I picked up my keys and said, "I'm leaving for a few hours. Don't touch anything. Don't pack anything. The sheriff will come and explain your rights." When I came back in the evening, the sheriff's car was parked outside. My father and Vivian were sitting on the porch steps, looking like scolded children. The sheriff, Deputy Miller, told me that they understood the situation and the limits. My father was furious. "You called the police on your own family. This is a disgrace," he said. I looked at him calmly. "You broke the law." "I just took back what was mine," I replied. Deputy Miller let them go inside to get their personal belongings under supervision. 30 minutes later, they left with 2 small suitcases, their heads down. My father stopped in the driveway and said, "You'll regret this." I locked the door from the inside and said through the glass, "No, I've finally stopped regretting all the years I wasted on you." The next morning, the sunlight streamed into the kitchen. For the first time in a long time, there was no tension in the air. It was peaceful and quiet, just the way I liked it. But my family wasn't done. By noon, My phone started buzzing nonstop with bank notifications. They were trying to access my accounts, make unauthorized transfers. Vivian even tried to log into an old joint account we had years ago. That was the last straw. I called Arthur, my attorney. He told me to list their names, and without hesitation I said, Mr. Thompson, Vivian Thompson, and my brother Neil Thompson. And the officer who responded yesterday was Deputy Miller. Arthur nodded. We'll use his incident report. This will bring serious consequences they can't escape, he said. I looked around my kitchen, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. I'm not punishing them. I'm taking back control of my life, I said. Arthur exhaled. Good. The paperwork we're filing will put an end to this once and for all, he said. The day of the hearing arrived. I walked into the courthouse calm and composed. Vivian, my father, and Neil were already there, arguing in the hallway like children. When they saw me, Vivian's lip curled. You're really going to do this to your own family?
She said.
I tilted my head. You did this to yourselves, I replied. Inside the courtroom, the judge flipped through the thick case file, filled with evidence of their financial abuse. When the judge looked at Vivian and said, unauthorized access to accounts and attempted fraud are serious crimes. Family relationships don't excuse this. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. After the judge's ruling and the signing of the papers, we walked out into the hallway. Neil reached out to touch my arm. Gertrude, we didn't think you'd go this far, he said, his voice shaking. I looked at him. You should have listened when I said no, I said. And with that, I walked out of the courthouse, leaving behind the past and stepping into a new future. As I got into the car with Arthur, I knew that the cycle of abuse and neglect had finally ended. I texted my little girl, Lily, you'll never have to go through what I did. And I meant every word.